Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Joy of Sticks. Stickhead here with your Atari ST gaming channel. And today we're playing Joust. I often think I should do arcade conversion special with all the best Atari ST arcade conversions, and this is a particularly good one. As I say, it's an arcade conversion. Now, if you were born under a rock, maybe you don't know about this, but Joust was originally a 1982 arcade game by Williams Electronics, and a great one it is too. Williams, of course, had that little run of just amazing arcade games in the early 80s. What did they have? Defender, Robotron, this, all sorts. And the thing I like about Joust is it's such a unique game. I mean, yeah, sure, there've been a couple of games that have copied it, but I mean, if you think about the other Williams games, Defender and Robotron especially, they've been copied to death. Robotron in the likes of like Geometry Wars and things like that, or Lamatron on our beloved ST. Defender's been done again and again and again by different people under different names. Drop Zone is a great example of that. But yeah, I suppose on is it on the NES? Balloon Fight or something like that is very Joust, isn't it? It's very like Joust. But apart from that, there's not a lot out there that's like it, so it still maintains that kind of originality for me. And I don't know, it kind of harks back to a different age, really. Way back in the day when, I don't know, a different era of video game design, if you like, where if you know, you could come up with one novel idea, say in like the control mechanism here, and it would spark an entirely new game concept. Like, because the idea here in Joust is you move your character left and right, but you tap the fire button to get them to flap their wings to move. You'll see anyway. But yeah, it was unique at the time, and it still kind of is, really. It's really, really cool. I don't know what is going on with the music. Listen to the music. Is it supposed to be doing that? It sounds terrible. Anyway, yeah, the ST version came much later. As I say, the arcade was 1982. Now, on the information page for here, it's on the game itself, it says copyright 1986, but that sounds really early, and I'm not sure about that. I do know that a lot of the reviews for the game came out in 1988, so I don't really know exactly when this came out, but it could be an early game because it's developed by somebody called Rugby Circle Inc., and I don't know of them at all. It's John McKay and Ken Wainwright, and an Atari Mania search shows up no other games that they've done on the ST at all, which is a shame actually, because as I say, it's a cracking conversion. But there you go. Shall we have a crack? Let's have a go, shall we? Alright, so the idea of Joust is, here's me on some kind of bird, emu, ostrich thing, I don't know, and I'm fighting against these guys on buzzards. And as I say, you tap the fire button rapidly to flap your wings, which increases your rate of ascension. Is that the right word? Yeah, so you tap the fire button to ascend, you let go to let gravity pull you back down again, and then you can press left and right to move left and right, but you only actually change your velocity left and right when you tap the fire button, so that's something to keep in mind. And while you're on the floor, you can just run left and right as normal. So yeah, the idea is you've got to collide with these enemies on their buzzards to defeat them, but you can get defeated in those collisions too, as he demonstrates right there. Now the way that you ensure victory is you have to make sure that you are higher than them when you collide with them. So whoever's the highest survives, whoever's the lowest gets dismounted. And then you may have seen when they're dismounted, they release these like little eggs, and you have to collect the eggs. If you don't collect the eggs, then more buzzards come, and the rider can get back on. Like this guy is trying to do right now. So let's get him before the buzzard gets there. There we go. Now you may notice that rider there is a slightly different colour. As the waves go on, enemies get more and more difficult. Now this is an egg wave. So I have to try and collect as many of the eggs as possible to prevent enemies from spawning. Alright, I didn't quite catch that one. Let's see if we can bait him to come down a little bit. There we go. And as you can tell, it's a really, intricate and precise game. And it really is a cracking conversion, with one caveat, which I will try to explain. Oh my word, what a combo! Have some of that. And you may have noticed that the platform at the left and right bottom of the screen there has actually burned away. And hands come and grab you and try and pull you into the lava. Now things are about to start getting really tricky now, as these platforms disappear. More and more space at the top makes things very difficult to survive. It does mean there are enemies spawning from less locations, which is good. Beware of the unbeatable pterodactyl. You notice the question mark on the unbeatable there? He is beatable, but it's really difficult. You have to kind of line it up perfectly. That was close. Oh, I don't know if you heard the little dink there sound effect. It basically meant, let's get rid of that guy because he's a bit harder. Oh no, pterodactyl got me. You can beat the pterodactyl. You have to kind of line up your joust perfectly to hit his open mouth. I've never been able to do it by skill, only by luck. So when he's charging at you like that, basically, yeah, you've got to joust him in the mouth. Oh, this guy. Seriously, take that. But yeah, what a cracking game. So unique. Excellent control scheme. Really well implemented on the ST as well. Oh, on the ST as well. See, now I'm in trouble. Spawning at the bottom. Absolutely tons of these guys up top. Oh yeah, found a gap. No! Right on my head. See, this is it now. I don't, you know what I mean? How am I going to get out of this? I've got to try and get myself in a position where I can pick them off one by one. Like so. Nice! So this egg wave shouldn't be too bad. There's not many... I was about to say there's not many platforms for them to spawn on. I've got to be a bit quick here, there's loads. Oh my days. No, this isn't going well. Oh! Alright, hopefully some of them get grabbed. That would help me. Oh, I found an opening there. Okay, this is looking a bit handier. Yes. I actually quite like it when the platforms have disappeared from the sides, because... the lower platforms, I mean, because it exposes the lava, which means the eggs... Oh, no! No! What am I doing? Because, what was I saying? The eggs end up going in the lava. So that's one less thing to worry about. I mean, You may have noticed you get bonus points for catching the eggs, well, for getting the eggs, and then extra green bonus points for actually catching them mid-air. No, that was just dense. So you get less points, but you survive longer, which for me was what it was always about. There we go. Okay. Well, there you go, that's Joust. I'm sure you get the gist of it from my playthrough there. I think I actually did a little bit better than I thought I would. One thing I didn't explain was that there are various different ways. We saw the egg wave. There's also survival wave, where you get bonus points for not dying on that round. What else is there? Something like a challenge wave or something like that. If you're playing in 2-player, you get a bonus point for knocking off your teammate, I suppose. I don't know what to call them. They are kind of a teammate. It's one of those games a bit like Gauntlet 2 where you are working together, but there's the rivalry as well, and you can hurt each other and knock each other off too. But yeah, if you get into a rivalry with the person you're playing with, your game doesn't last long, so I wouldn't recommend it. But it is fun, and yeah, great in 2-player, cooperative, like I say, at the same time. So yeah, brilliant game. Anyway, I did find a few reviews. What did I find? Did I find 2? Yeah, 2 reviews. First of all, I found this piece in ST Action. It's not a review as such. It was kind of looking at old arcade games converted to the ST. And let me just quote this bit to you. It's a nice little bit. It says, "A piece of arcade history which has stood the test of time through the arcade, VCS console and 8-bit market. But in its 4th generation, what does it have to offer 16-bit users?" And at this point I thought, oh, here we go. You know, the obsession with, you know, progress and stuff that we had in the late 80s, early 90s. But actually what they say is, if it was released as a new game today, it would still be considered highly original, and it's certainly an excellent for 2-player participation. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. And you know, it has stood the test of time, because I took my son to the video game arcade in Nottingham. Not the video game arcade, it's called the National Video Game Arcade, which is like a retro video game museum in Nottingham. And it's brilliant, by the way. I highly recommend it. You should go. And we played Joust, and it's still brilliant and still loads of fun, especially in 2-player. And yeah, I found this review in Games Machine. They only gave it 71%, which is a bit low. But then they did say some quite nice things about it, and it's probably a low score because of that ageism that you do tend to get around this kind of time period. But they said, "This is the first authorised conversion to appear on a home computer," which is interesting. And Rugby Circle Inc. have made it virtually indistinguishable from the arcade machine, which is true, with one caveat. Did I mention it when I was playing? I don't think I did. I'll mention it now. What they've done, and I can see why the programmers have done this, but what they've done is they've made the flaps of your wings more powerful. So with each press of the fire button, you ascend more than you do in the arcade version. And they've done that for one main reason, really. If you can imagine, in an arcade, you're holding the stick like this, and then you've got your hand here on the fire button, so you're moving left and right, and you're tapping like crazy. Now when your hand's like this with your fingers on the button, you can tap really, really quickly. But when you're holding a joystick, I'm trying to get it so you can see, in a standard configuration for a computer game, it's your thumb that's doing the tapping. Now, I don't know, oh, I've accidentally started a game, but if you tap like this, you can tap much quicker than you can with a thumb like this. Well, I can anyway. I imagine it's the same for most people. Your mileage may vary. So to counteract that, the programmers made your flaps more powerful, which is really cool. You know, it's good that they're thinking about these things. But then when you're in, if I show you, when you're actually in mid-air and you want to slow down your momentum, I'm going quite quick here, and then I want to slow down, I've got to increase my rate of ascension by loads more than I would want to. So to turn around on the arcade, you could press the opposite direction and just tap slightly intermittently like this, and it would slow you down. You could turn around. But if you were to do that on this version, you also get a lot of lift, which can, you know, it can put you in a bind really. So yeah, pros and cons I suppose to that really. What I was thinking actually, I thought about it while I was playing, what would actually make it a little bit better was perhaps on this version you could hold down while flapping, which is kind of reminiscent of Super Mario Brothers when you're swimming, like Mario 3 and Super Mario World. If you hold down when you press swim, he doesn't actually get as much lift in the water. I think that probably would have been the way to go in this version. So there you go. Anyway, what else does it say? Although Joust is a very dated game, the finely detailed character graphics in this conversion are impressive. Playing alone could become a little repetitive, but the two-player mode is very good indeed, and the arcade playability remains intact. Fantastic. I couldn't agree more really. I don't find it repetitive, and I think but then, you know, it's the kind of game where I'm happy to play it for like a quick 10, 15, 20 minute burst and then I'm done. So you know that's an arcade game, that's what it's all about, right? But there you go. Anyway, that's Joust, guys. Let me know what you think of Joust, the arcade game, any conversions you might have played. It'd be really interesting. I've played the 8-bit Atari 8-bit version, which is, oh my word, there's an awful lot of pterodactyls on the screen, which I think is a cracking version as well. Not quite as good as this one, but still it keeps the feel of the arcade, which is brilliant. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you think, especially the versions on your machines, and thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure you weigh in with the comments down below. It's always great to hear what you think. Do take care.